All right. All right. Hi, this is Christina with the Stage Nature Center. Hope everybody is doing well today. All right. I think I see that there's some people are connected. Again, my name is Christina. I'm here at the Stage Nature Center in Troy, Michigan to do our live a live program about wild turkeys. So I see that some people have joined us already, it looks like. So hello and good afternoon. I'm glad you guys are joining us today. I first want to start off by apologizing for the other day on Tuesday. We had some technical difficulties that I wasn't able to get the program up and running on the computer. And unfortunately, I had to delay the program, but I'm glad you guys came back or are here again today to join us. If this is your first time with us, like I said, I'm with the Sage Nature Center in Troy, Michigan, and I am doing these live Facebook programs to keep you all connected with what's going on here while we are closed. So the building is still currently closed, and right now we have a reopening date of June 2nd, and that of course depends on how everything goes. And right now our programs are canceled through the end of May, and we'll make decisions about upcoming programs as things progress. So I'm glad that we can do these live programs for you, and I'm glad that it seems like everything is working so far today. I can see your comments on a very small screen here on another computer next to me. I have discovered that that is the best way to do these live posts, is to have the comments on another device here so I can see them. So if you have questions during the program, please feel free to put them in the comments. I might not be able to see the questions all the time and answer your questions, but I will periodically check the comments while I'm presenting here and see if there are any questions, and then at the end of the program I'll go through and see if there are any other questions and try to answer as many questions as I can. If I didn't get to your questions during the program, then I will go back through after the program ends and see if there were any questions that I missed and answer them in the comments. So I see some people saying hello, so hello there. I'm glad you're joining us today. Again, our programs are canceled right now, and we haven't done programs since mid-March. So I know many of you already know this, but to let you know, we are a nonprofit organization that relies very heavily on the funding that we get from our programs. So if you have it in your means to donate, you can donate through the donate button on this live Facebook post today. You can also go to our website, stagenaturecenter.org, and post on donate on our website as well. And thank you so much to everybody who has donated so far, even throughout the years, but especially during this time, during our live Facebook posts. Thank you to the people who have participated in our naming fundraisers to help support the animals that we're still taking care of here. So thank you everyone for your support. We appreciate it. And we hope to get to see you again soon when things reopen. So I hope everybody is staying safe and healthy in the meantime. You can come on out on the trails as long as you're practicing safe social distancing, keeping that 6 feet of distance apart at least. And again, if you need to go off the trail a little bit to give other people space, you can do that. Normally we tell people to stay on trails, but we want to make sure that people are keeping enough distance. So if you need to scoot off the trail for a moment to give people some space, then you can certainly do that. Although it's very wet right now on the trails. We did do some trail work last weekend to try to take care of some of those spots where it was really muddy. So we do have some new spots though now that are really wet from the rains that we got this past week. So if you come walk our trails, you may want to come prepared with shoes that you're okay with getting wet until we're able to get out again and do a little bit more work on the trails. All right. So today we're going to be talking about turkeys, about wild turkeys. They're actually one of my favorite animals. I love observing them. I love taking videos of them. They're very entertaining. They're just kind of funny birds. And we are fortunate here at the Stage Nature Center to get to see quite a few turkeys at the Nature Center. So while I start telling you this stuff, I'm going to switch back over to the picture that I had up here because this is one of my favorite pictures that I've taken of turkeys here. So I'm going to switch back over to that picture. So this was a picture I took of one of the male turkeys here at the Nature Center. But again, we're very fortunate that we get to see turkeys here as much as we do at the Stage Nature Center. There's actually quite a few turkeys here that have we've seen over the years, and the group seems to keep getting bigger. We've seen about 18 or so turkeys at a time, actually, especially at our feeders during the winter time. Now, just like the other wildlife here, the turkeys that you see here are wild turkeys. That's actually their actual name, their common name, wild turkeys, and they are truly wild. So these turkeys do not belong to us. They, like all the other wildlife out on our trails, they can come and go as they please. We do provide them a safe place to live and to survive. We are a nature preserve, so we don't allow a lot of activities that would be very stressful and overwhelming for the wildlife. So we don't allow biking, we don't allow dog walking on our trails, or even running can be very disruptive to wildlife. So we don't allow running on our trails either. So the wildlife here has a pretty good place to live, but they do go into the neighborhood and they do explore and they do live in some of the other areas. So if you see them around the neighborhood, they are not our turkeys, but they do spend a lot of time here, and they do like to come up to our feeders and check to see what's going on at the feeders. So we have a great opportunity here at the Nature Center to really get a good chance to observe them. Right now we are in the middle of their breeding season and actually nesting season. So it's a pretty exciting time around here. I'm going to show you a variety of photos and videos that I have taken of the turkeys over, most of these are from the past week or so, but some of them are from other times of the year that I've taken pictures and video of them here. I actually have lots, probably a couple thousand of videos and photos of the turkeys because I really enjoy watching them, and we see them a lot here. So you'll get to learn a little bit about wild turkeys today. So this, again, is a male turkey that you see here in this picture, and you can tell he's a male because he's got some of that red on his neck. Now, in just a minute here, when I show you some of the videos, we'll talk about some of the different parts that identify a turkey. So let's move on to the next slide here. And while you watch some of these videos, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about turkeys. This is a male turkey here that was at the feeders just the other day. It was raining, so you can actually see the water pilling off of its feathers. It was really kind of neat. Sorry about some of the jerkiness. I was trying to readjust the camera. So this is a male. There are several different ways you can tell it's a male. Those feathers that are hanging down from its chest area is actually called the beard. And this is one way we can tell a male. Young males will, as they're developing their beard, they'll look like little stubbles that are coming out from their chest. Another way we can tell that it's a male is with those big things that are coming off towards their feet. It's not quite down to the ground, but they're right above their feet. Those are called spurs. And male turkeys have those. Now, sometimes females can have something that looks like that that's a lot smaller. So it's not always a guaranteed way to tell a male from a female, but that is one thing we can use to tell a male turkey as an indicator. Male turkeys also typically have a reddish head, a red head crown. The females are usually more of a grayish color, and the males, that red gets even brighter when they're displaying to each other. So that's another way we can tell the difference between a male and a female. So males are also larger than females generally. And if you see a turkey displaying, well, then that's most definitely a male, because the males are the ones that are displaying. In this video here, we should get to, yep, there we go. So what I was doing there is I was playing their call to get him to respond so you could hear him gobbling. I don't do that often. I'll let you listen again. So that piece of skin that's hanging over his beak there is actually called the snood. And the snood, before he started gobbling, was kind of shrunken into his face. It expands, it gets longer when they are displaying and when they're gobbling like this. And then the part down towards his feathers that are red and look kind of bulbous, those are called the caruncles. So actually, what you're hearing in this video is I am playing their call, so that way we could get him to call. They do call pretty frequently when they're around out here at the nature center. Here he's going to fluff up his feathers a little bit and shake some of that water off. But he was the only one around at this time, so I decided to play his call to get him to talk a little bit for us. This is something you can do with a lot of birds, is play their call. Now, you can do this so you can hear them and hopefully get them to respond, but it is an activity that you want to be very careful about, especially during breeding season, because when you're doing this, you're taking them away from their natural behaviors. So I limit this. I don't do this very often, rarely. I only did this the other day, and I most of the time when I'm out on the trails, I'm not playing their calls to get them to call back to me, because again, that's disrupting their natural behaviors and what they might be doing to breed and also claim territory. So that's something that we reserve only for special circumstances to do. Oops, sorry. Here we go. Okay. I think this is another video, if I remember correctly, of him talking a little bit, so you could see him closer. Again, you can see that piece of skin hanging off his beak called the snood, and that bright red skin down towards his feathers, those are called the caruncles. You can actually also see the really neat colors in his feathers right here. They have a lot of iridescence in their feathers, and depending on how the sun is hitting them, their feathers can look all sorts of different colors. They're really pretty. I love their feathers. Somebody asked me if turkeys fly. Yes, they do fly. They don't typically fly long distances, and it does look kind of funny to see them fly. But people are often surprised when I tell them that turkeys like to roost high up in the trees at night. So that's typically where they go. So here at the Nature Center, towards the evening, you could, if you see a very large bird tumbling around in the tops of the trees, that could be a turkey. And they do look kind of awkward, but yes, they can fly. They just prefer not to go long distances, but they can fly for short distances. They're also really good runners too, and I do have a video here towards the end of the presentation where you'll get to see them running. Because I actually think it's quite entertaining to watch them run. So just to tell you a little bit about the turkeys here in the United States, there was a time, especially here in Michigan, that the turkeys were thought to have all but disappeared from Michigan, and that was by around 1900 due to habitat loss and unregulated hunting. And then between 1919 and 1983, there were population reestablishment efforts that were carried out in Michigan, and some turkeys were taken from other states and brought here so that way we could repopulate the state. Now the wild turkeys are actually doing pretty good here in Michigan and throughout their range. It was pretty rare to see them for a while, and now they're actually doing pretty good because of these conservation efforts and repopulation efforts. Something else interesting about the turkey, one of my favorite facts about them, is that Ben Franklin loved turkeys, and he was in favor of making the wild turkey the national symbol of the United States instead of the bald eagle. So there was a time where we could have had the turkey as our national symbol instead of the bald eagle, but the bald eagle won over. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to play another video for you. So here is a close-up of the feet. You can see those spurs on the back of the turkey's legs there. And you can age a turkey by how big those spurs are. I'm not necessarily very good at that, and you have to be pretty good at being able to estimate the size of those spurs. But you can age them based on their spur length. Okay, let's see here. I also really like their feet because they make me think of maybe what a velociraptor's feet, or some kind of prehistoric animal might look like with those feet. So this is a female to show you the difference between the male and the female at our feeders. They often feed from the bird seed that the squirrels and other birds up in the bird feeders kick down to the ground. So they will visit our feeders quite frequently. So this female, it's kind of hard to tell without them being side by side, but the female is smaller. The female doesn't have that bright red on her head, and she doesn't have a beard. You also, again, won't see a female displaying. Now you can also see on her legs that she doesn't have a spur. She does have a toe that is kind of in the same general area but lower, that some people mistake for a spur depending on how they're walking, but it's not actually a spur. So here is a video that I had of a male displaying to some females. And I want you to take a look at these feathers that are sticking down right here that are really striped. A lot of people are surprised when they find those feathers and they ask us to identify them for them, and we tell them they're turkeys. They're like, where is that from? But you can see here when the male is displaying and spreading out his feathers that those are his wing feathers, actually. Those striped feathers that you can find laying around where turkeys are living. So those are the wing feathers. And here we're panning over to a female that doesn't seem to be all that interested in the male's displays here, which is usually the case. When we see the males displaying to the females, a lot of times the females are not paying attention all that much. But the males at this time of year are spending a lot of time trying to get the attention of the females. And at this time of year, again, they could be nesting. In fact, we think there is a turkey that could be nesting around here at the Nature Center. So if you happen to see something like that, it's best to keep your distance because you don't want to stress out the female as she's on the nest, and you don't want to get her to run away from the nest. So if you do see something like that, please observe the female or the nest from afar. And then hopefully you'll get to see some baby turkeys running around here, which I do have a picture of some baby turkeys here towards the end of the presentation. So if you might hear in the video the turkey making kind of like an air type sound, and that is something that they do when they're displaying is they fill up with air, and then they make this sound as part of their display to the female. And it also kind of sounds like their chest is drumming. So the males here, they do a lot of displaying, and they do a lot of work to try to attract the females, but the males actually don't provide any parental care of the babies. So if you see a female, or if you see a turkey with babies around here this summer, then it's the female that you're going to see with them. So the females, they'll be the ones to prepare the nest and incubate the eggs and care for the young until the following spring. And the chicks are actually able to walk and feed themselves within 24 hours of hatching, and the chicks are pretty cute. So turkeys can live on the high end about 13 years in the wild. The typical lifespan of a wild turkey is about 1.5 years. They do have a hard life. There are predators, especially the predators that go after their young, like maybe a coyote going after a small turkey, or if they're hit by cars too. Fortunately, the turkey population seems to be doing pretty well here around the nature center. So again, I really enjoy watching the males trying to display to the females. This display it's really quite dramatic if you think about it. It's kind of like a peacock. It's a very similar type of display to a peacock. And males, they fan out their tails, and they do this strut as we've been seeing here in this video. And they'll gobble in an attempt to attract and retain actually a harem of females, a whole group of females. So sometimes you'll see them with more than just a couple of females. Here I was finally able to get video of him from the front. Again, if you look at his face, you'll see how long that snoot is, and it becomes that long when they're displaying and they're in the process of courting a female. And then when they're just kind of hanging around, if they're not trying to display to a female, that snoot, that skin, that piece of skin above their beak shrinks back up again. So I was telling you about their lifespan and how it can be up to 13 years, but it's often about 1.5 years. Some other predators of turkeys include things like raccoons, skunks, especially for the babies and for the eggs. Gray foxes might be a predator of turkeys. Bobcats, if you have bobcats in the area, but we don't have bobcats in this area. So here is a video that I actually took just yesterday of a male turkey. I decided to add it into the presentation since I hadn't shown the presentation yet, and it was an interesting video. This turkey looks like it lost some feathers on his tail, so I'm going to play this for you. You'll see when he turns here that some of the feathers in the middle of his tail here are shorter, so he probably lost some of those feathers. Could have been in an argument with another male turkey, could have been in an argument with another animal that was trying to go after it. You know, turkeys are not an animal that you want to tempt and try to chase after, and some turkeys have been known to be aggressive towards humans. We have not had an issue with the turkeys here at the Nature Center that we know of. They will get quite close to people. They will come into the bird feeders, and there are people who do go out and feed the wildlife here, although you're not supposed to. It is against our regulations to feed the wild animals here at the Stage Nature Center, but some people do, and it has habituated the turkeys. Unfortunately, so far they have not become aggressive, but in some places where people feed them quite frequently and they become too habituated, they can be aggressive when they can't get food. So these two females, again, are kind of hanging around this turkey, but the male is really more hanging around them, trying to get their attention. So these females, you can see them kind of looking for stuff in the grass. Turkeys are omnivorous, which means they eat both plants and animals. They primarily eat stuff like vegetable matter, such as acorns, nuts, seeds, buds, leaves, and fern fronds. But they'll also eat ground-dwelling insects, and this is something that they especially eat during the summertime. During the wintertime, they're going to switch mostly to plant matter, but they will eat insects during the summertime, and they have been known to eat salamanders. So these ground-dwelling insects and things like salamanders account for about 10% of their diet. Usually when you're going to see turkeys foraging like you see these turkeys doing, which is what you see most of the time when you see the turkeys, they're foraging. They're primarily foraging on the ground. Although sometimes they will occasionally go into the shrubs and low trees to reach fruits and buds. And usually this activity occurs 2 to 3 hours after dawn and before dusk. So this was actually yesterday. I think I want to say I took these videos around 5 p.m. All right, I'm just kind of briefly glancing over the comments here, and I don't think I see any additional questions, but I will try to keep up with those. I'm going to move to the next. So here I have a series of pictures, and this is one of my favorite things about wild turkeys. They like to take dust baths or dirt baths. This is a picture I took a few years ago of the planters that we have out front at the Nature Center. And one day we noticed that the turkeys were in the planters. At first we weren't sure what they were doing. They were just kind of hanging out, and there it was the time of year that they would be getting ready to lay eggs. So we wondered if that's what they were doing, but it wasn't. Turns out that they were taking dust baths in the planters. And if you look on the ground there by the female that's still standing, there's tons of dirt on the ground. They really displaced quite a bit of dirt that day. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get any video, but I was able to take a series of pictures of them doing this. And they looked quite funny. The volunteers that maintain our planters, there weren't any flowers growing yet at this point. It was early spring. But they did have a good time putting some more dirt into these planters. And fortunately, the females left these planters alone eventually once they started growing flowers. But you will see turkeys sometimes rolling themselves in dirt and dust, and that's how they take baths, is dust baths. Here is a in motion picture, and you can see the dirt flying there from the one female. And it's really interesting to watch them take these dirt baths because they really get all of their feathers moving all over the place. And the dirt or the dust really goes flying. And when they're done with this, eventually, as they start walking away, you'll see them fluff their feathers and shake, and you'll see all of this dirt and dust come flying out of their feathers. But this is how they take their dust baths. Here's another picture of her throwing some more of that dirt. Oh, wait, I don't want to get to that yet. So that's one of my favorite behaviors that I like watching the turkeys, is when they're giving themselves dust baths. I see somebody here asked me, how many babies can a female turkey have at one time? Well, actually, I guess that's a good lead into the next photo that I have here. So the range of eggs that they lay per season can be anywhere from 4 to 17 eggs. The average eggs that they would have per season are about 11. And then they can have anywhere between, I would say 4 to 10, upwards of 15 babies. This was a female that had some babies that she brought up towards the nature center last summer. We saw several females with babies last summer, and their babies are quite adorable. They do blend in very well with the grass, so I was very happy when she came out onto the trail here and the babies followed her so I could get a picture of them. And there were some more babies kind of trailing off in the grass behind. So I think this female, if I remember correctly, had 11 babies with her. Now, of course, again, not all of them are going to make it, and especially when they're that young, they can become prey to a lot of other animals. So as they get bigger, they have a better chance of surviving. Now, here is a turkey that many of you may have heard of about here at the Nature Center. This is the same species of turkey. This is a wild turkey. This is what we call a smoke phase turkey, and we started seeing her, I want to say a couple years ago now. We have seen her. She was showing up with a group of about 17 or 18 turkeys that would come visit the feeders. We would also see them out on the nature preserve. Now, this is not an albino turkey, and we can tell she's not albino because her eyes, for example, are not red or pink. So she's what we call smoke phase. And what that means is that the pigmentation in her genes is a little bit different from other turkeys. Now, I know neighbors around the area have seen them. They are pretty rare. I'm not sure exactly what the percentage of occurrence would be, but I do know that they are pretty rare. And a lot of times animals like this that come out with odd colors that stick out, they don't make it very long. Either sometimes the group of animals will kind of push them out because they're worried that they would attract predators, or a predator will take it out pretty quickly. Although I will say, and this is a close-up picture I got of her, but in the snow, when these groups of turkeys were in the snow, it was a lot harder to see her. She blended in very well, but other times she stood out like a sore thumb. But it was seen that last summer she had babies, which is quite exciting. I haven't seen her a lot recently, but I want to say I last saw her maybe a month or so ago. So if you see this type of turkey hanging around, that's what this is. It's called a smoke phase turkey. And here is the group of them. I thought I would share a picture of the group of them here at the feeders. So there's actually some males in this picture. There's a whole bunch of females. You'll usually, when you see a big group like this, you'll see a few males and then a whole bunch of females. I think when the big group was all together, we would see about 5 males and the rest of them were females. So the smoke phase that we have running around here again is a female. And you can see her in this picture, but she kind of blends in a little bit better with the snow than the rest of them. Somebody asked, smoke phase has magical superpowers. I don't know. That would be really neat if they do. I mean, I would say that she is definitely very intriguing and people like to see her and photograph her. So she at least has that superpower of being very interesting to people. But I don't know if she has any other superpowers. Somebody asked, what are the natural predators of a turkey? Again, something like a coyote. A turkey is a pretty big animal for a coyote to take down. So it would probably either be a sick turkey or a young turkey. But when they're babies, there's a lot of animals that can take them out. And I think I mentioned earlier, I said things like raccoons, possums, striped skunks, gray foxes are some animals that are known predators of turkeys. And this picture I included because, again, like I said, I enjoy watching the turkeys. They're often quite entertaining, and it's interesting to see the different things they do. And this turkey decided to try to get some bird seed by going up to the top of the platform feeder. So there is bird seed inside this feeder. And what was really interesting is that this was a group of turkeys. This is a female. And when she flew to the top of one of the platform feeders, another female flew to the top of another platform feeder. And then one flew off, and then the other one flew off, and then she flew back on, and then the other one flew back on. It's kind of like they were watching each other and trying to see what the other one was doing. but this is one of my favorites. They're landing on the top of this platform feeder house for the birds and hanging down kind of upside down to get to that bird feed. So it was very entertaining to watch them that day, hanging out on the tops of the bird feeders to get to that bird seed. So see, they can fly because obviously they needed to fly to get to the tops of the bird feeders here. Somebody asked if the smoked turkey's babies were white or normal turkey color. From what we could tell, they looked normal. They looked like the other turkey's babies. All right, so this is some video I actually showed in another live Facebook program, but I'm going to show it again. It's of a group of males that were hanging out on the trails. So seeing them at the feeders at the Nature Center is a pretty common place to see them, but you will see them out on the trails as well. And sometimes you'll even see them using our trails. But there weren't any females with this group of 3 males here that were walking through the woods. And you can see that they're still pretty bright red, but they actually don't have that snood hanging down, that long piece of skin on their beaks, because they're not displaying right now. They're not trying to attract a female. Okay. And here was another video I had of a female turkey that was coming down the trail. So the animals here, the deer, the turkeys, they will use our trails to get around, but then they also, especially the deer, if you're walking along our trails, you'll see that there are little trails that go off, and the deer do make their own trails, but the animals do use our trails as well. So here is a female that was walking towards me. Oh, that's right. She must have just taken a dust bath, because you saw her shake there and get all of that dust off of her feathers. So as she passed me, she started kind of running past me. And like I said, I do like to see them run. It's pretty entertaining. And here is her running down the trail after she passed me. All right, so those are the videos and photos that I have to show you of the turkeys. I am going to switch the screen back over here just a moment. All right, so I hope you enjoyed seeing the videos and the photos of the turkeys that I had to share with you. Like I said, they're pretty entertaining to watch, so I highly recommend you come out here sometime and see if you can see them. Again, don't chase them. I know it seems like it can be kind of fun to chase them, to watch them run, but it's really, you don't want to stress them out too much by doing that. And like I said, you could see them nesting right now, and if you do see that, make sure you give them space. Now, like I said, the turkey populations are doing pretty good here in Michigan and throughout their range in the United States, which is excellent. It's so great, just like bald eagles, that their populations are coming back. But there are definitely some things you can do to help support turkey populations. A lot of hunting groups, because you can still hunt turkeys here in the United States, are actually great at helping with conservation. So, supporting hunting licenses in the state through the Department of Natural Resources, that can help fund protection efforts for the turkeys. Also trying to keep natural habitat natural. We do a lot of removal of invasives here along our trails. We haven't been able to do a lot lately because of the closures, but we do we do bring out people to help us remove things like garlic mustard, but keeping those invasives under control so that way the natural plants can grow that maybe the turkeys would like to eat. And also not using things like pesticides and insecticides that could make turkeys sick when they're eating, or herbicides when they're eating plants or insects around them. So that's something else that you can do to help them. And of course, if you're driving through an area where there are turkeys, especially when I'm driving around here around the nature center and around the surrounding area, because of deer and turkeys, I'm usually pretty careful because sometimes you will see them coming out to the roads, and every once in a while you will see a turkey that's been hit by a car. So that's also something you can do to help support them. And planting natives. So we actually have a native garden sale that is going on here at the Nature Center. Normally this would be an in-person sale, but this year it has moved to online and curbside pickup to try to promote safe social distancing. So if you go online on plantsforecology.com, you can find out more information about that and choose some native plants if you want to buy some. Some of the proceeds do come to us and to 3 other organizations that are also holding the curbside pickup at their locations as well. And our date for the curbside pickup here is next Saturday, May 30th. So you can plant some natives, and that also helps support turkey populations. I think I see another question that came in here, so let's see. Actually, there's quite a few questions that just came through. So let me take a look at these questions. Do turkeys mind being out in the rain? Like a lot of other birds, you won't see them as much, but you can see them out in the rain, just like that video that I took the other day of the male turkey hanging around at the feeders in the rain. So again, you're not going to see them moving around as much, but those feathers are really good at repelling the water. As you probably saw in the video, the beads of water just kind of fall right off the turkey. Somebody said they've been coming to Stage for 20 years and they only began seeing turkeys there recently. Is there a reason for that? Well, that's actually just true in general of seeing turkeys, because 20 years ago, their populations were not nearly as large. 20 years ago, it was not as common to see a turkey. They hadn't yet, their populations hadn't boomed quite a bit yet. Now they're becoming very well adapted to suburban areas. So it's more common now to see turkeys in suburban areas. And that's why we're seeing them more frequently, because of these conservation practices that were put into place. Their populations are doing better. There's more protection for them. And so just in general, a lot of people are surprised how often they're starting to see turkeys around their houses. And some people still aren't quite accustomed to it. If they start seeing it, they'll call us saying, "There's a turkey here. I'm not sure what I should do with it. Is it supposed to be here?" And yeah, they are supposed to be around. It's just they hadn't been around for a long time. Their populations weren't doing as well. So in general, we could start seeing turkeys more often in a lot of different places. So I think that has something to do with it. And then somebody said, let's see. Speaking of chasing, often observe several males chasing one another in circles for several minutes. What is that about? Oh, that reminds me, I meant to put a video up here that I have of some males chasing each other in a circle around the tree in our bird feeding area. And they did. They just went round and round for a while chasing each other. And I think that that's just a territorial thing that you'll see them do is just the males trying to show their dominance. So maybe since I didn't get that video that I took of the turkeys in our bird feeding area chasing each other around the tree, since I didn't get it up as part of this presentation, I'll post it up as a separate video on our Facebook page, and you guys can watch it there because it is pretty entertaining to see them do that. Also have observed 2 or 3 males leaping and doing chest bumps. What is this about? Again, that's part of their displays. When they are trying to display to females, you'll see them doing different things with their chests, and you might see them them leaping. It's actually a lot of fun to see them do this. It also could be a territorial thing especially if it's happening during the winter time. It's probably more of a territorial thing that you're going to see between the males. Are turkeys related to peacocks? Yes, they are. I can't remember if they are in the same family or how closely related they are. I'm looking here in my notes because I remember seeing something about that. But they are, wild turkeys are related to peacocks. I just don't remember exactly how close that relation is. Okay, let's see. I'm seeing if I missed anybody else's questions. Okay, so I think I got through the questions, but again, if I missed your question after the presentation is over here, I will go back through and answer any questions that I missed. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed seeing these videos and photos of turkeys, and hope you come out here sometime. Remember, the trails are open, but just make sure that you're practicing safe social distancing. And you know, especially right now the building is closed, but keep checking our website and our Facebook page for when we'll be reopening. And I hope to see you guys out here sometime. If you come out and visit, you might see me out on the trails. I'm out and about a lot right now on the trails, trying to get some different footage and videos and photos to share with you all while doing these live Facebook programs. If you have missed any of these live Facebook programs and you'd like to go back and see them, they're all on our website, stagenaturecenter.org. They're called Virtual Nature Explorers. And I'm going to continue to do these for a while. So I hope to see you next Tuesday at 1 p.m. I'll do another Facebook Live program, and I'll be announcing that topic here within the next day or two. And otherwise, I hope you all have a good weekend. I hope you stay safe and healthy, and hopefully you're able to get out a little bit. All right, well, thank you for joining me, and you take care. All right, bye.